Okay, in this video I'm gonna talk a little bit about creating the patterns and how you can use them. You can use it in a fill, you can use it in a satin stitch, and the way a pattern works, it you will get the stitch points. It will create stitch points where it intersects with the stitch line. So what becomes of importance to get the best effects is on how your placement of the pattern is in comparison with the stitch direction. Because if some of your lines in the pattern lining up with the stitch direction, then you will not get a visible pattern there. So the direction of your stitching becomes important, and there are a few other aspects, but we'll probably cover them as we are going through these patterns. So I got here the centerpiece. That is a fill area where I applied a pattern, and the red one, that is a satin where I applied a pattern. And so I'm gonna go through both of them for a moment, and as you can see there, you can see the stitches, and the same here. Also, where you want to be cautious with that your stitch length, depending on how you are applying your pattern, but you want to watch that your stitch length is not going to be too excessive, so that you're going to get the best effect. Or yeah, like I say, the stitch length becomes an important thing to keep an eye on. So I'm gonna close out of this, and then we'll see what we can get accomplished. And so this is the patterns what I had on display, and I'm gonna go, and so here you can see that is a satin stitch, and I applied all the stars into it. And this one is a fill area where I put a pattern on also. So how can we accomplish something like that? Well, I'll go and select all of it, and I'll go and delete this. Now I'm gonna go, and so let's clear the whole screen, and let's see if we can accomplish what we want to accomplish. And so first what we do is, what I did is create a circle, and a perfect circle. You can hold down the shift and the control key, and then you can create a perfect circle. And if you're holding down the shift key, it will draw out from the center. So now I'm gonna go and path, object to path. I'm gonna turn off the fill, set a stroke, set my stroke width. Let me go here 6 mil, or let's go a little wider for demonstration purpose. And so now I have a 8 mil stroke. Now I'm gonna go extension, inkstitch, satin, tool satin, convert line to satin, and inkstitch will convert most of the satins into 2 sections, and I do not like to work with it like that. I like always as one satin. So first what we're gonna do is we're gonna combine these two for a moment, and we can see where they are joining. If you are confused on where they join, what you can do is give the one a different stroke color, then it becomes a little easier to see on where they are joining. Then what I'll do is go to the node select and hold down the shift key, select my second path of the satin. Then I'll go and select the two nodes where they are close together, and I'll join them together, and I'll join those two together on the rails. So then the rails, they will become one path, but we're still dealing with all the rungs. The rungs, they are still staying in a separate path, but since we have selected both of the paths with the node select tool, we also have both paths selected in the layers and objects panel. So then all what we need to do is path and combine. So now we have one satin. Then we can go and we can apply the params, inkstitch params, and then we get the running stitch along the path. And the reason for that is because I combined or joined the two separate sections together, and then inkstitch treats it as the running stitch along the path. So we have to go and change it here to the custom satin column, and then we can change our settings here if we so desire, and we'll go and apply and quit. So now we have our satin stitch, and now we want to apply a pattern to it. So let's do the same kind of pattern as what I did before, using the star. Then what I like to do here is select my satin again and click on it again, and then we get here the rotation handle on the object, and we see the center point. Then what we can do is drag the two guidelines for a moment. It may not be necessary, but it can help, and it may help. So now we have the guidelines, and they are lining up in the center. You can also use the snapping tool in order to snap your guides right to the center point. Then what I'll do is I'll create a star, and if we're holding down the control key, we can control the rotation of the star. So now I'm satisfied with the star. My star has right away a stroke because that is depending on my tool settings in the preference window. So I'm gonna go and turn down the stroke. Now I'm gonna go grab my star, line it up with my guide, and I'm gonna go and resize my star so that it fits within my satin, and I'm placing it right on the guideline. Also, there can be used the snapping tool also if you want to have it snap to the guideline. So now that I have my star there, now I will go and apply a path effect, and we're gonna go to look for the rotate copies, and then we go to the node select, and now we have multiple rectangles there, or diamonds, so you have to be cautious which one you're pulling. And now I'm gonna go and pull the one node for placing the star, and I'm placing that one right on the center. And as you can see, now all the stars are lining up in the same position within the circle. Now we can decide how many of these copies that we want, and I can just keep clicking till, oh, I have to keep my mouse on the, so you may have to watch on how many that you're creating and that they are not overlapping on each other. So you may have to make minor adjustments on the number of copies that you want. You can have that, if you want, create a starting angle, and you can have a rotate angle, you can create a gap, and you can, oh, I want a gap at 0. So now the nodes, they should be just touching each other. And now with that selected, now we go path, object to path, and now I'm in the selection. Then what we do is we go extension, inkstitch, edit, selection to pattern. Then what we get is we get this icon is attached to the path. If you decide and you want to take that away, this one icon, it can be removed. We got to go then to the fill and stroke, and now I got to think here. Stroke style, I thought it was, an end marker. Now I do not see the end marker. I thought that it was used to be a marker and you can remove it. So I don't, okay, I'm not gonna go there for now then. Let's go back to continuing with this. And can always go to the history and change things in the history if you so need to make changes. So now we have all our stars and we have converted it to a pattern. Now what we need to do is we have our satin and we have our pattern. We have to go select both of them. You can select them on the screen, or you can select them in the layers and objects panel. And then what needs to be done is object, group them together. Now that they are in a group, then all what needs to go is extension, inkstitch, and we can go to the visualize and export. We can go to the simulator, and I'll speed this up, and we go to the realistic. Takes a little bit of time to for it to render, and there you can see the pattern has been applied to the stitching. So if you're using a white satin, then you want to be sure that the stitch length here, that it is still staying within limits, and you can use any kind of pattern you so desire. So now I'm going to close out of here, and now we're going to go to a fill stitch, and I'm going to go and delete this one for keeping the screen clear, and I'll take these guides away. Don't really need the guides anymore. So now we can go to a fill, and I'm gonna go create a small fill here. Path, object to path. I'm gonna turn off the stroke, and now I have just a fill area. Then since it is just a rectangle created, we want to go path, object to path. Now we're gonna go and create a pattern. Well, a pattern you can create multiple ways. You want to make sure that it covers the whole area. Now you can create any kind of pattern. You can use oh, there I got no. You can use a anything with line. You can draw with your objects. You can draw with your Bezier tool. You can go and create multiple lines all the way over, but Inkscape has got a lot of power tools what can be used for creating your patterns also. And depending on the pattern you want to be putting on there, what you can do is instead of drawing all the lines and make it complicated, Inkscape has got a good tool. What I like to do, always use, is for a pattern, I'm gonna go and line up these two nodes for a moment. So I'm gonna go to the align and distribute, and I'm gonna go to align the nodes, and I want to have the nodes on a horizontal line. Now they are lining up perfectly. If I want to center this one, that can be done also by playing with these buttons, or you can just go and drag it, whatever. Then what I like to do is go to the path effects again, and then go and into the tiling. Now with the tiling I can create a lot of rows, and I can create the columns all in a matter of a few clicks. Here are multiple ways that we can play with our pattern. We can set a gap in between, so you can play with these buttons, and there we have a gap in between there. We can create a gap, so we can create a gap horizontally, vertically, just by changing these numbers. We can go and offset each row individually, so we can go also negative gaps. That depends just on what kind of pattern that you want, and you want to be creative. So now we want to make sure that we're covering the whole design. So if we need to make more rows, we just look at, and we can click as many as we need. I can take a few of the columns away. Now I can go and select it, place it over top of my design and place it. You can use the align and distribute for that matter if you want to place it in a specific direction, if you want to have it perfectly centered. Now all what needs to be done is extension, inkstitch, let's see here, edit, selection to pattern, and there we see the symbol again. Same thing again. Now we have to go and select the path, object, group, and now we see that these lines, they are going diagonally and diagonally this way, so we want to watch the direction of the stitching so that these lines will intersect with each other. So we can have here easy a zero direction of a 0, inkstitch params. Oh, I have to cancel because I have to use the fill object, extension, inkstitch params. And now this can become interesting. So if I go here now and so the stitch angle is at 0, so this should give us a, I'll turn off the underlay for a minute, then it might be a little easier visible, and I'm gonna go and apply and quit. And now we're gonna go to the simulator. And I'm gonna speed up the simulator here for a moment and maximize it. Go to the realistic view. Oh, for some reason the pattern is not showing. Why is that? That is the path. Oh, this star. Okay, I delete, edit, undo. Okay, I made a mistake there. I have to ungroup that one for a moment. Ungroup, and I'll delete this star. And these two need to be selected and they have to be grouped. So always group your pattern with the object. And now we can go inkstitch, visualize simulator. And now if it's good, now we go to the realistic. That way we can see should see the pattern. And as you can see, here we see the pattern applied. And I'm gonna see if we can zooming in. Here you can see that there are still stitch points in between our patterns. Well, we can change that also. So we can define the pattern further, and we can do that by closing out of here, and we go and select the rectangle extension, we go inkstitch params, and the filled stitch length, well, there things become interesting. Now I'm gonna go and change the filled stitch length to, I'm just gonna go and put a crazy number there, and I'll put 1000, and I'm gonna go stagger the rows at 1. So basically what we're doing now is we are kind of mimicking the satin stitch. And now I'm gonna go and apply and quit, and now we go back, inkstitch, visualize to the simulator, and I'll speed up the simulator here, go to the realistic view. So now you can see, now you have a way more defined design or defined pattern, and you can see all these shapes what were created in the pattern without any stitching in between. So in that way you can be really creative with your filled stitches. So also what can be done is, depending on your shape, you can have a large shape, like what we normally would not recommend for a satin. So you can have a shape what is more than the 12 mil and change it into a satin. So you can have, so now I have a really large, I'm creating a really large satin. So I'm gonna go and grab these two lines and shift, path, combine. Then we go inkstitch, params, and we'll go satin column, apply and quit. So, and as we can see here we have a satin stitch, and that one is 156 mil wide and 128 mil high. Well, we still can use that for a satin stitch with a pattern. Now we can go and create a pattern, and I should go and, so now we have to watch that our pattern is really small, that it fits within the proper distance for a satin stitch. And we can go and do the same thing again, use path effects, and we can go to the tiling again, and now we make sure that our pattern is gonna cover everything for the satin. Okay, there we are wide enough. I'm not gonna look at too many little details. There are multiple path effects but can be applied to the object also, as long as you go afterwards object to path. Then go and extension, inkstitch, edit, selection to pattern. Then we go select our satin and our pattern, and object group, and then we can go extension, inkstitch, we can go visualize, we can go to the simulator, oh, it probably is going to take a little bit of time. Oh, not too bad. And so yeah, like I didn't create rungs in my satin, so the design may not be perfectly showing, but let's go here to the realistic. Then we should be able to see our pattern, and that's always a little bit slow because of the size of the object. So it's going to take a little bit of time to show the stitch plan. It's really taking a long time this time, I guess, and that's only because I'm making a video, I guess. There we go. So yeah, it may show a little bit funny here. I don't know if it is the rendering because of inkstitch, or if it is because of the stitch directions. So if you control the stitch directions a little better, then it probably will show better also. But now you can see the stitch pattern. And there you can see all the intersections. So it becomes important on what kind of design you're using for the intersections or for the pattern. So have fun creating, explore, 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 and play with it. There are so many options available in Inkscape with inkstitch. It becomes all about your imagination. Okay, thanks for watching and have fun creating.